Hello, this is Dr. Anthony Fesmire, and this lesson we're going to learn two versions of the chords of the song Sunny Moon for Two. Now, this is in a 12-bar blues form, so these chords can be applied to literally thousands of different songs. We're first going to start with the E form bar chords, that are seventh chords, and then we're going to learn what are called shell voicings. We'll also work on a strumming style called the Freddie Green style, and then we'll also incorporate the Charleston Rhythm into some of our chord playing as well. Let's get started. For the bar chord version of this song, we're just going to use two different forms, the E form and the A form. Now this is in the key of A, so we're going to go ahead and start with an E form A chord. And we get this. This is just a triad. Now if I pick up my pinky, I get the A7 chord. Now the notes of this chord, by the way, are A, C sharp, E, and G. So by picking up my pinky, I'm adding the G note on the D string. That's the first chord. Now a little bit later in the song, we get another E form bar chord, and that's the B minor 7 chord. So if I move up 2 frets and play a B minor, I get this. The notes of that chord are B, D, and F sharp. But if I pick up my pinky, I add the 7th, which is an A note, and I get this. So that's my B minor 7. And then there are two other chords, the D7 and the E7. Now those are both the same shape, and they will both be in the A form. So I'm going to come up here and play an A form D chord. Now to get a D7, I need to add a C note to this chord. And I could get that note on the G string by picking up my ring finger. Now that's a little bit of an awkward fingering, so I'm going to reposition my fingers and keep my first finger barred here at the 5th fret, put my third finger on an A note at the 7th fret of the D string, and then I'll put my pinky at the 7th fret of the B string, which is an F sharp note, and I get this chord. Now you can kind of double check that you have the right 7th chord shape by moving it back to here. Here's just a typical A7 chord, moving it up, barring at the 5th fret, and now it's a D7 chord. Now if I move that up 2 frets, I get an E7 chord with the E root here on the A string. So those are the 4 chords of the song. Now we're just following a 12-bar blues form, so we'll get 4 measures of A and 2 measures of D, 2 measures of A, etc. Now let's go ahead and try this in a Freddie Green style. Freddie Green style is simply playing quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, right on the beat. Now we'll also have a little bit of separation between the chords, so I'm going to pick up my left hand just a little bit in between each of those chords to just mute the sound for a moment. And then I can also accent beats 2 and 4. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning play 2 and 4 a little bit louder. Now here's the entire song using the E and A form 7th chords in Freddie Green style. Now we can also incorporate the Charleston rhythm in with the Freddie Green style playing and just intersperse the two rhythms. They don't need to be played at a specific time or specific measure in the song. Just kind of using them freely, they work really nicely together. So here's an example of that. Now let's go ahead and check out those other chord voicings that are known as shell voicings. Now these are called shell voicings because they just have the most important notes of the chord. They have the root of the chord, the third of the chord, and the seventh of the chord. With most seventh chords, the fifth is just expendable, and the most important notes are definitely the root, third, and seventh. So if we come back to that A7 chord, the notes of that chord are A, C sharp, E, and G, and the E is the fifth. That's the expendable note. So we're only going to play the A, the C sharp, and the G note. Now you'll see that the shell voicing can be related shape-wise pretty closely to the notes of the bar chord, the E-form bar chord. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second finger and place it on the A note at the fifth fret of the low E string. Then I'm going to skip a string and use my ring finger at the fifth fret of the D string, which is the G note, and then put my pinky on C sharp, sixth fret of the G string. Now I'm skipping over the A string and I'm actually muting that string with the back of my second finger just by touching it lightly. So I only need to play the three notes that I'm fingering, and that muted note would just be in between. We won't hear it at all. So that's what I get for that shell voicing of the A7. Now for the B minor 7, which comes later in the song, we're basically keeping the same basic shape. To get a minor chord, I'm just going to scoop my pinky back one and use this shape here. So if I move this up 2 frets, I have my second finger on a B, my ring finger on an A, and then I've got my pinky on a D note, which is also at the 7th fret but on the G string. And I get that for the B minor 7 chord. Next, I have a D7 chord. So if I come over here to the A form D7 chord, again, this will be somewhat related to that shape. It'll be based around the 5th fret again. I'm going to take my second finger and I'm going to place it at the 5th fret of the A string. That's the root. And then I'm going to put my first finger on F sharp, 4th fret of the D string, and then I'm going to put my ring finger at the 5th fret of the G string, which is the C note. So I've got D, F sharp, and C, and those are the only 3 notes that I need for this chord. Now if I move that shape up 2 frets and put the root here at the 7th fret, the E note, I've got an E7 chord. Here's a performance using the shell voicings. I'm going to intersperse the Freddie Green style with the Charleston Rhythm. Here we go.